Hey my friends, this is Aldie, and today I want to talk with you about a very important subject called divorce. Now, divorce is a very sensitive subject because a lot of people don't expect to go through a divorce. When they're at the altar and they're saying "I do" to their spouse, they know deep down in their hearts that they're doing the right thing. And then later on in life, they realize that it wasn't the right thing or that it didn't work out. And so today I want to address 7 reasons why most people divorce. Now, I am personally happily married and I've loved my wife for a very long time, almost a decade. And I can tell you I have a lot of experience in dealing personally with my wife and also counseling other people about this subject. So let's get right into it. Because the first tip I want to share with you, the first reason why most people divorce is because of lack of appreciation. When a couple decides to get married, they believe deep down in their hearts that they know enough about the person that they're marrying. They believe that they understand their occupation, they understand their wants, they understand their needs, they understand exactly where this person wants to go. But what tends to happen is that the couple takes life for granted. Eventually, they start living together for a while and they find themselves just running into each other. They find themselves butting heads. They find themselves conflicting on so many different interests, which causes them to move away from each other, which causes them to appreciate each other less, which causes them to even separate a little bit. Because the fact is that so many people have the need to be appreciated, including married couples. You see, everyone wants to feel important. They want to feel needed. They want to feel like they belong. They want to feel like they're doing the right thing. Whenever a person feels underappreciated or unappreciated at all, they tend to neglect the issues. They tend to take side shots. They tend to insult their spouse or even ignore their spouse because they don't feel the appreciation at all. And that forces them to look in other places where they can find the appreciation. That's why so many people commit adultery, because they find someone else outside of their relationship that shows them all this appreciation, that compliments their hair, or compliments their body, or compliments their style, which is something that they haven't seen in a while. So what I'm telling you right now is to show appreciation to your spouse. Tell them how much you love them. Bring them flowers, give them gifts, and do whatever it takes to show them that you truly love them. The second reason why most people divorce is because they have different goals. Look, when they get married, they go to the altar and they say, "I do. I will be with you together forever like salt and pepper. I'll do whatever it takes to live my life so I can help you to achieve your goals." But the problem is that they never set any goals. They never made a plan for their life, so they don't know exactly what it is that they're pursuing. They say they're gonna go after all these goals, but they don't know exactly what those goals are. And that's a problem. Now, when a couple starts to live together, they start talking. They start realizing that they have goals. Now, sometimes they may have separate goals and separate ambitions and separate desires, and sometimes those desires aren't communicated, or maybe they're miscommunicated. And so the couple ends up getting so frustrated, they realize that they're not even in the same book. They're not even in the same library. They're not even in the same house. And so what I'm telling you is that you need to create a plan of action. You need to make sure that the person that you want to marry is a person that's going to help you to reach your highest goals. Now, if you find yourself being a little selfish and you hold this person back from achieving their goals, then that's your problem. And you've got to figure out what you can do to start helping them to reach their goals. Now, if you're the one that's leading this relationship, you need to bring your spouse on board. Instead of it being your goals, it needs to be our goals. You need to bring the two people together so that you can achieve everything that you want to do for the rest of your life. So what I'm saying is make sure that you set the right goals with your spouse. A lot of times, so many people plan out what kind of ring they're gonna get, what kind of marriage they're gonna have, what kind of ceremonies they wanna have afterwards, but they don't plan out how they're gonna live their life. So make sure you set that purpose and become completely intentional as you go about living that purpose. The third reason why most people get a divorce is because of finances. Now, this is one of the most important reasons because so many people don't understand how their money works. Sometimes people even have separate bank accounts, which to me is quite appalling. Now, I'm not against people who have separate accounts, but I'm saying that if you say "I do" to the person you're marrying, then you should have the same money. No one should have an allowance or a limited amount of money that they should spend. But you should agree on certain terms and certain things that you want to accomplish with the money that you have. That means that you have to constantly communicate and even over-communicate your needs when it comes to financial matters. Now, speaking of financial matters, you have to make sure that money is allocated to the right places at the right time in the right ways. Because if this friction begins to happen with your money, then your spouse may lose hope. They may even feel like they're losing control. And they may be diverted from the plan of action that you have originally planned. Another important thing when it comes to finances is your mentality. Because if you want to change your reality, you got to change your mentality. You got to change the way you think about money. There's some couples I've heard many times that want to spend and others want to save. The man wants to gamble, but the woman wants to invest. The man wants to earn, but the woman wants to hang out. Whatever it is, you've got to figure out what your mentality is. You can't just adopt the mentality that your parents gave you. You can't just say, well, I'm not going to invest because my parents said it's not going to work out. You can't just listen to someone else in your family or in your life tell you how to conduct your financial affairs. They can't tell you who to be or what kind of job you need to take. You've got to figure that out with your spouse. You've got to figure out how many hours you want to work, how much money you want to save, what you want to invest in, how you want to invest in those projects, and who do you want to invest with if you do so. You've got to figure out exactly what you need to do when it comes to all of your financial affairs, and make sure your goals are completely aligned so that your money will grow. The fourth reason why most people divorce is because of miscommunication or no communication at all. You see, just because you live with someone doesn't mean that you're communicating with them all the time. Or it doesn't mean that you're communicating with them in the right way. A lot of times in a marital relationship, it's a lot of non-verbal communication. It's the slamming of the door, the banging of the plates, the foot stomping you might be hearing upstairs because of how your spouse might feel about you. You have to make sure that you communicate with your spouse because this is the most important relationship in your life. You can't neglect it. You can't say that your boss is more important or your friends are more important when the person that you live with is not happy with the current circumstance. A lot of times people think, oh, I've communicated with my spouse, but she doesn't get it, or he will never understand, or he is just not supportive. What I'm saying to you is that your spouse will understand if you learn how to communicate more effectively, if you communicate in love, if you show them in terms that they understand, not in terms that you understand. Because if you're a logical person and you're trying to speak to an emotional person, that might not work. You have to become emotional with that person. Or vice versa. If you're emotional, but the person that you want to talk with is a very logical person, you, my friend, have to become a more logical reasoner. You have to understand exactly how that person thinks and start coming up with reasons why they need to make the changes that they might need to make. So when it comes to communicating with your spouse, make sure the timing is right. Make sure your tone is correct. Make sure that you're sharing the message in love so that they can understand exactly what you mean. The fifth reason why most people divorce is because of selfishness. These people are straight up selfish. They don't reciprocate, they don't care, they don't love you as much as they say they do, they don't compromise, they don't do anything to show that they are in a marital relationship. Now, if you're dealing with a very selfish person, there's not much you can do besides communicate your needs over and over again. You have to understand that they will need a reality check, but you can't force it. You can't hope that they're gonna get hit by a bus, or that they're gonna get sick, or someday they're gonna die, because that will cause you a path of negative thinking. You don't want to think like that. You don't ever want to have those thoughts about a person that you love. And so many people end up falling into this negative way of thinking that they end up forgetting about how important their relationship actually is. They end up losing sight of who they are because they become so cynical about the selfish person that they're dealing with. Now, if you're the selfish person, then you need to make changes right now. If I'm speaking to you directly and you know that you've been selfish over the years, then you need to understand exactly what to do. Let go of your ego and go to your spouse and apologize. Do something that will make them happy. Do something that they've been asking for a long time. Now, it's not always easy to realize if you're the selfish person, but you need to go up to your spouse and ask them, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the highest, what's our relationship right now? And if they say anything less than a 10, then you've got to realize that there's some fixing to do. You've got to make those changes, and you've got to do whatever it takes to make sure that that relationship is a 10 out of 10. The 6th reason why most people divorce is because of sex. Now, I'm no sexual expert, but I can tell you that if a couple isn't getting the right kind of sex, that they're gonna fall out of love. They're gonna get cold toward each other. There's gonna be some tension within the house. And if you want to change that, then you've got to activate your partner in a sexual way. You've got to understand their sexual needs and make sure that you can meet them most appropriately. If you feel like you're out of touch with your partner in a sexual way, then it's time to have that conversation. It's time to touch them in a different way that they don't expect it. It's time to do things that you've never done before. Maybe you need to be more romantic. Turn the candles on. Take them out to a spa. Do something that they don't expect at all. Once those sexual needs are fulfilled, you'll be happier in your relationship. Then there won't be any need to look at pornography or lust after other people that you see everywhere you go, because your needs are met. So make sure you meet the needs of your spouse and help them understand your needs as well. The 7th and final reason why most people divorce is because of neglect. They neglect the most important issues that the relationship is facing at the moment. Maybe there's something that's going on in the family that's not being talked about. Maybe there's something going on with the tradition that happens all the time that needs to be changed. Whatever it is, you've got to figure out exactly what it is that you've been neglecting for the last weeks, for the last months, and for the last years. The only way that you can ever heal your relationship is to become more conscious of it, to become more mindful of the needs. If you have kids, what do your kids need? If you have a spouse that wants to do something, why is it that they want to do it, and what can you do to get them there faster? If there's family differences or you have different cultures within your family, what can you do to understand your spouse's family and vice versa? You have to figure out what the issues are and do whatever you can to create a plan of action so that you can confront and attack it most appropriately. Alright, there you go, my friends. I've given you 7 reasons why most people divorce. Now look, if you're already divorced, or maybe you're going through one right now, don't despair. Go out and make amends to the people that you're interacting with. Whoever's involved with the divorce, make sure that things are right in the end. Because you don't want to walk away with a guilty conscience. You don't want to walk away with any kind of regret. And if you could avoid the divorce, do whatever you can in your power to make it right. My friends, I hope you enjoyed this video, so please subscribe to my channel, hit that notification button so I can see you on the next video.